Pat Walker here with Mission Winners. It is Sunday and once again time to dive into the ETFs and MAXLIST stocks. IBD 50, weekly on the left, daily on the right. What does it tell us? Well, there's still not a lot of leadership in the IBD 50 stocks, okay? So that tells us just be a little more cautious with growth. Let's continue onwards. Here we go, gold miners. What does this tell you? It's dropping, stay away. It's below the 50-day, it fell on increasing volume, looks bad on the weekly. Stay away from the gold miners. There's power in knowing what to look for. There's power in knowing what to avoid. Gold, same situation. Gaps down, tells you to stay away from gold. We don't have to overthink it. At Mission Winners, we accept what's here and say, would you buy this? Oh, I'm buying this. It's falling on increasing volume. No, leave it alone. Continue onwards. Biotechnology is basing nicely. Started to lift up and formed a tail bar here. Started to lift up and formed a little tail bar here. But there are tops across right here. And you can see this on the weekly. And I'll do something to help you. And lines don't need to be fancy. Everybody thinks we got to be really elaborate and fancy. That's close enough. There it is. What does it need to do? Take out these tops right here with volume, which coincides also with, and I'll do this, this is a great lesson for everybody, simple flat base. Needs to take that out. Take out that line with volume. There you go. It also says maybe look into some biotechnology stocks. That's why we do this. Continue onwards. Oil and gas. Look at the weekly dropping, look at the daily dropping. Here's a really important investing foundation. The air is better above a rising 50-day moving average line. That's the green line. It's below it and the line's starting to fall. Just leave it alone. Move on. Stay away from the group. Continue onwards. Software technology, it's kind of choppy here, okay? Falls, lifts up, rallies on decreasing volume. It tells us just be a little careful with technology, software, all right? You can Google, by the way, the top 10 holdings and see what they are. So just be a little cautious with software. Continue onwards. Medicine, starting to pick up. Look at the base right here. You could punch up IHI and see what they own, okay? That's something that is a great tactic you can use. Oh, this is strengthening. I'll Google IHI and see what they own, the top 10 holdings. Maybe I can find an opportunity. It is not in a leading area right here, okay? Look at the daily. This is, it's not near highs, nor is it on the weekly. So it's a lagging group. Be careful with that. Continue onwards. Continue onwards. What do we have? There we go. Sorry about that. Was a text from one of my kids. Aerospace and defense. This doesn't look too bad. Near highs right here. As you can see, take out these tops. Would be nice to base a little bit longer and then lift up. Be careful. Just be a little careful. This is another lesson we teach. It's a little bit extended here. Okay, it made a good move here. Also note, it did it, but it didn't do it on really heavy volume. So be careful with aerospace and aerospace defense stocks and this ETF. Be nice if it based a couple of days and then takes off. There you go. Home construction, stay away. See, that's why we do this in Mission Winners. Systematize. Look at the daily chart. There's nothing here. Look at the weekly chart. Stay away from home construction stocks. That's simple. Growth. S&P 500 growth. Pick it up here a little bit. Now, what does that tell you? Lift it out here on, a pickup in volume there. What does that tell you? And I'm going to refresh this chart just to make sure everything is up to speed. Yep. What does this tell you? Growth is leading, and it has been a little bit. Look into growth. Are we involved with growth? Yes, we are. I mean, it broke out right here, folks. Yeah, we got a lot of growth with what we own. Okay, we're exposed. Small caps. Do we have a lot of small cap stocks? No. Why? This is why, and this is why. It's underperforming. There's nothing to do with it. Leave it alone. See, what's needed, Mission Winners, what we strive to do here is narrow our focus. I don't want to look at a million different stocks. I want to look at the ones that have the greatest potential to make us money. And we know what to look for industry-wise, and we know what to look for fundamentally and technically in the individual stocks. There you go. Real estate's lagging, leave it alone. Done. Transportations. Look at the weekly and the daily. There's nothing. Stay away from transportation stocks. See, now, isn't this neat? It's not just, these are things to look for. These are things to avoid, which narrows our focus. The best of the best remains. And I love that. Airlines, stay away. Global jets, there's nothing there. It's grounded. Okay, I got to say that, especially because the Blue Angels are around here today. Here we go. Boy, they've been practicing. It's awesome. Anyway, MDY, mid cap, lagging a little bit. I don't know if I ever told you the story about the Blue Angels. If you ever want me to, I will. Oil services is lagging. Here, be careful with oil services. Pharmaceutical strong. Look at that. Been acting pretty good here on the daily and the weekly. Do we own any pharmaceutical stocks? Yes, we do. One of them we own? We own Eli Lilly, LLY. Get a chance, punch up that chart, and you'll see why. Here we go. QLD rallied up and it tailed off a little bit. Still looks good. Okay. What could be a potential entry on this if you don't own it? Could be an entry on an add-on if it lifts up and takes out the highs of these bars. Doesn't look bad on the weekly, right? What else does that tell you? Well, we could look at QLD. No, it goes way beyond that. It also tells us that we can look at NASDAQ 100 stocks and MAXLIST stocks. Okay, it's leading. There you go. Oh, by the way, let me stop a moment to mention our Market Minute videos that come out every day after the market close. If you have not had a chance to watch one yet, last Friday's will be linked in the top right corner. Feel free to watch it and come back after to finish the video. Continue onwards. I'm not saying be reckless with this, just watch it. QQQ, bearish engulfing bar there, right here on a pickup in volume. This needs to show a little bit of strength. Just, it looks good on the weekly and it looks good on the daily, but not a lot of power on Friday. Be aware of that. Retailing, it's pretty much lagging, folks. There's not a lot of power there. Leave it alone. Silver, nothing. It's ready. Dad humor. It's tarnished. I'm sorry. I had to do it. Don't hang up on me. I'm sorry. Anyway, you can see it's kind of sloppy here. Just be careful with silver. Continue onward. Steel. No. There's nothing there. Leave it alone. SMH, semiconductors, doesn't look too bad. Look, it's forming a little pennant right here. Maybe that'll take off across these tops. Now, what does that tell you? Well, it looks pretty darn good on the weekly, and it looks pretty good on the daily. Yes. Have we been involved in semiconductor stocks? Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. There's a little one called Intel, I do believe. Here we go. It's working. Continue onwards. Spiders. Looks decent on the weekly. A little bit of a tail bar here, engulfing bar here on the daily. Backed off just a little bit, but it's trending decently. It's not, this is the time to sell. No, it's just resting. It's just resting. Had a decent move and it's resting, and that's fine. Continue onwards. SSO, same situation, resting. Solar started to run up and now it's lost some leadership here. Notice this. This is why I look at weekly and daily side by side. Here's the daily. Look what it does on the weekly. Rallies right up to the 50-week moving average and backs right back off of it. Isn't that interesting to know? Nothing to do with it. By the way, you look at this and say it's okay, but then you look at this and you go, there's a ton of overhead supply. It tells you stay away from solar stocks. It's been telling you stay away from solar stocks. And again, this is what's great. It's good to know things to look for, look into, and it's good to know things to stay away from. Both things help us. Let's continue onwards. Small caps, stay away. That's it. Stay away. Nothing to do with it. I love that. Oil. United States oil, nothing. Leave it alone. Folks, by the way, when I say this and do it this way, I'm not trying to be cute and funny. I'm just being direct and say there's nothing there. Why? Why do anything with this? There's nothing there. Leave it alone. Biotechnology kind of lifted up and then faded. It's kind of sloppy here. Overall, biotechnology can be a tough area. Be a little cautious with it here, okay? Why? Because it put a big reversal bar in and it's fallen. So a little sloppy at this time. Home builders, stay away. Right here. Home builders, back here, we had some great runs earlier in the year in home building stocks. Look at that weekly move. But right now, it's below the falling 50-day. That is a great investing maxim. I'll say it again. If you make up your mind to say, I'm going to concentrate on stocks that are above the rising 50-day, your investing results will improve. It shows strength. But always get in line with it and never argue with price. And that'll help you. But there's nothing to do with this now. Leave it alone. Here we go. Materials, still pretty sloppy here, folks. There's not much going on there. Leave it alone. Communications is hanging in here. XLC broke out of this base right here. Okay. You could punch up XLC and see what they own. Looks decent. Okay. Lifting up. Pulling back here, not on heavy volume. That's good. Let's move on. So you could look into XLC and see what are the top 10 stocks in the group. It's easy to find. There you go. Energy, stay away. Right here. Stay away, not just from the ETF, stay away from energy stocks. And that's good. Again, it's great to know things to look for, to maybe delve into deeper, and things to avoid. That's huge. That helps. You know what else it does, team? And that's why we do this here, and this is for everybody. It saves time. Well, I got to look at 1,000 charts this weekend. No, you don't. No. Focus on leading groups and the leading stocks in those groups. It will really help you. I taught stuff like this at the IBD meetups for years. Leadership, strength begets strength. Also, though, I'll say this, don't chase price. Here we go. Financials, just chopping around here. Look at the daily, it starts to go up. They take it down, whipping around here a little bit. But it is above the rising 50-day, and it is basing nicely. Maybe looking at some financials, and it doesn't look that bad on the weekly. There you go. Industrial, stay away. I mean, do a compare and contrast. Oh, this one's above the 50-day, right? Well, this is below a falling 50-day. Stay away. That's it. This is great. Narrowing down our focus. That's what we want. It leads us to finding the best of the best. That's what we want. Here we go. Technology, XLK. This doesn't look too bad, does it, on the weekly or the daily? And what does that say? Well, hey, looking at some top technology. And it has for a while. And have we been looking at technology? Yeah. Do we own some technology? Yeah. It's told us to. There we go. Consumer staples doesn't look too bad. Just basing right here. It's a slower mover, though, by the way, okay? It's not a faster mover, but it does tell us something. Consumer staples, not bad. Kind of a defensive type of group, though. Think that through. Staples, necessities, the things you have to have. You have to have toilet paper. You have to have toothpaste. You got to have things like that. That's what this is, okay? Which is, to a degree, then, a slightly defensive sector. That's good to know. Let's continue onwards. Healthcare is basing nicely right here. Looks good on the daily, but look at the weekly. That's a decent base. Healthcare. Eli Lilly may be in this group. I'm not sure. We own Lilly, but it's acting decent. Says maybe look into some healthcare stocks. Here's something else you can do for everybody. I'll say it again. You can punch up XLV and find out what their top 10 holdings are. Their systemization to see where there's opportunity. Good work. There we go. Consumer discretionary, just basing, not a lot of power there. Metals and mining, stay away. It's dropping on volume. Leave metals and mining alone for now. Done. Oil and gas, stay away. Look at the daily chart. There's nothing there. Just leave it alone. And leave the stocks in that group alone too. Isn't that great? Here we go. Continue onwards. Retailing's kind of choppy here. It's above the moving averages, but it's a little sloppy. You have a tail bar here, and you have a tail bar here. You got big tail bars here and here. Loose. Be a little careful with retailing. Good to know. Continue onward. Software's lagging here. Not a lot of power in software. Be very selective in software. It's not a broad brush stroke group to get involved with. It's below the falling 50-day. There you go. You can punch up XSW and find out what their leading holdings are, their top 10 holdings are. Continue onwards. Utilities dropping here just a little bit. Not a lot of power at this point in time. There was, but there's not much right now, okay? XLK. Now that one doesn't look too bad, does it? That's actually moving up. Near highs, near 52-week highs. What has it been telling us? Hey, you can look into some technology stocks. There you go. Do we own technology stocks? Yes, we do. Why? Because there's strength in the group. Okay, so that was the ETFs. Now we dive into the MAXLIST stocks. But first, let me ask you, have you hit that subscribe button yet? We noticed that only about 40% of the viewers on our weekly videos are subscribed. If you have enjoyed this video so far, please hit the subscribe button. It is 100% free, and it helps us get more great videos to you. Oh yeah, the like button, also please do hit that. And if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Now let's get into the MAXLIST stocks. Now there's Apple. It's hanging in pretty good on the weekly and hanging in pretty good on the daily. You can see this base right here, and it's lifting off. Owned, but I'd like to buy more, taking out the highs on this bar. You can see right there, there's potential there. So watch Apple. What would you look for? Take out the highs of Friday, do it in a good market, need a good market, and volume. The M and mission winners comes first for a reason. The markets, we don't argue with it. All right. But it looks decent. It's trending up. There you go. We don't have to argue with it. I'd like to buy more. Amazon started to lift off, tailed off a little bit, but you look here and you go, that's okay. But then look at the weekly and go, oh, that doesn't look too bad. Now you've got other tops across here. Perhaps this will lift off and run. That could be a new buy, or it could be an add-on. We'll watch and see. Let's see if it shows some strength on Amazon, MAXLIST stocks. Alibaba, look at the compare and contrast. Watch this. You go, oh, that doesn't look too bad. Oh, that doesn't look too bad. Yeah, that doesn't look so good. Isn't that great? Training our eyes and minds on what to look for. There's no leadership here. Leave it alone for now. That's simple. Go to the next one. Google. I like these tops on Google. It just can't get through there yet. It tried to and then backed off. You can see that tail bar right there. What's it need to do? Well, you can see these tops across here, and I'll draw this for you to help you. And it's nothing. Simplicity is a good thing, folks. Things don't need to be fancy. You can see these tops. What does it need to do? Well, there's a seller there. It runs up there and drops. It runs up there and reverses down. It runs up to here and reverses it down. What is that telling us? That there's a seller there. I don't mean that in a conspiracy sort of way. Please, okay? We're not getting mystical here. We're just, the price and volume's telling you there's sellers up at that level. So what does that tell us? It needs to get through that level with volume. There is a very good lesson for everybody. A really good lesson, okay? That's what it needs to do. Will it? Oh, probably eventually. We don't forecast. We'll just let price and volume tell us what to do. Till it takes out these tops across here, nothing to do with it. It needs to take them out on volume. Move onwards. Goldman Sachs has some tops across here. And I'll draw this for you to help. Admission winners, we don't just give ideas, we educate. There we go. Clean tops right there. Needs to take out those tops, and it needs to do it with volume. Now, analyzing the chart, you can say, and again, these are things we teach. Oh, it rallied up, but then it reversed right down. Oh, it fell a bit here on a slight pickup in volume on Friday. Do you see that? Tells us, yeah, I'm glad we're not in it. And we're not. We didn't buy it either. But it's a little sloppy right here. It needs to show real power. Power is measured by good price action backed by good volume. It needs to take out that top, and it needs to do it with volume. Until then, there's nothing to do with it. Leave it alone. That's simple. MasterCard, in a downtrend, there's nothing there. Leave it alone. And by the way, when I do it this quick, like on this, it's just simple. There's nothing there. It's below a falling 50-day. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. Buy strength, folks. Look for strength. It'll help. Meta, you see that base right there? See the volume pickup on that bar? Yeah, we bought it a couple of times. We're in good shape. Did we buy it up here? No, we were buying it down here. Don't chase price. Now it's just basing. This is a great lesson. I want to show you all something here. Price and volume. Up on heavy volume. Reverses down on less volume than it went up on. And the same thing's true on this bar. Now, we've got alerts set. We're not going to get sloppy with it. Here's what I'd like to see. I'd love to see this base here maybe another day and then start to lift off. If it does, I'm not saying it's going to, but if it does, what will we do? We'll buy more. There we go. Do we have a full position? No, we don't. No, we don't. Another very important point. This is CANSOM level 3 and 4. We never buy a full position. You ease into the stocks. In a really good market with a great base, okay, and everything's perfect. Your first buy, and it's a great stock, okay, with a great chart and great numbers. If your goal is to get to 100 shares, your first buy is 50 shares. If it continues going upwards, your next buy is 30 shares. Continues going upwards, your next buy is 20 shares. Said something very important. If it continues going up, if it doesn't go up, we don't add more. 50 shares, 30 shares, 20 shares. And the stock, and I taught this at the meetups, the stock has to earn the right for us to buy more. Please remember that. That'll help you on all stocks. Continue onwards. Microsoft's kind of choppy here. And there's not a lot of conviction, chopping back and forth. Be nice if it could base here and then take off. Now that's the daily. Here's what I like on the weekly. I like this longer base right here. What's one slight negative? And again, these are the things that we look for. Is it fell on a pickup in volume on the weekly. Tells us there's some sellers there. So we need to see some power on the way up on Microsoft. Netflix. This is owned down in here. And we'd sold some. It's chopping around here a little bit. Until it starts to base out and take out these tops, there's really nothing to do with it. That's simple. Maybe it'll do it on Monday. I don't know. I already have price alerts set. I'll raise this alert just a little bit. There we go. We'll watch it and see what happens. Continue onwards. NVDA. Yeah, gosh, that looks pretty good. Yeah, we own it. It's told us to buy. Look at this weekly base breakout right here. We made videos on this right there. Buying it around, I'll just call it 509, 510. There you go. And note the trend. And then it broke out again. Here's the weekly and here's the daily. Look at the volume pickup on that bar. Buying in here a couple of times and it's working. Now, I got to be very specific here. This stock splitting 10 for 1. 10 for 1. Be aware of that, okay? When you come in Monday morning, don't freak out and go, good Lord, what happened to me? It's going to be that's a big split, by the way. 10 for 1 is unbelievably unusual, okay? So just be a little careful and see how it acts, all right? There you go. But it's been, buys down here. We had buys down here too. The stock's been good and trends pay. There we go. So we'll see what happens after the split. NVDL, same situation. This was bought right in here. Clean and simple basis, and it's trending nicely, and it will split also, so just be aware of that, okay? Square or block, there's nothing there. Nothing. Leave it alone. I will say it again. The air is better above a rising 50-day moving average line. It will help you. This is below the falling 50-day. Just leave it alone for right now. Tesla. I like the base here on Tesla on the daily. I like it on the weekly. It's a lower level base. You can see there's a lot of overhead supply. And there's a valuable lesson. And again, this is stuff I used to teach. Take a look here. This is what I call a tail bar. It runs up and it's just kind of sticking out there like a dog's tail. There's nothing there. It does it right here. It does it right here and here and here. I'm not slamming the stock or anything like that. I'm just saying every time it goes up, they slam it down. It goes up, gaps up, reverses down. It goes up and fades. It goes up and fades. There's a seller up there. You can say, can you kind of be a little bit more specific with it? Sure. Right across here. There's a seller up there. And then there's a seller right here too. Runs up, backs off, runs up, backs off, runs up, backs off, here and here too. There's seller there. Not a conspiracy theory, nothing like that. What does it need to do then for us to get interested? It needs to push through this line with good volume. That's very important. That could be a setup. And then follow through, pushing through that line with volume. And until it does, we just wait. That's simple. We don't have to overthink it. Visa, it's lifting up, but it's pretty loose here on the weekly. Okay, just be a little careful with that. All right, team, that's our weekly review. Hope it helps you get a clearer picture of where the market's headed and what stocks to keep an eye on. By the way, don't forget about our weekly top stocks to have on your watch list video coming out tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you're curious about what we covered last week, you can find the link to that video in the top right corner. Remember, these watch list videos are just a small taste of what our VIP members get with the daily key list videos on missionwinners.com. So if you're serious about finding those super performance stocks, consider joining us. Now, I'm curious to hear from you. What are your thoughts on today's market review? Do you have any questions or concerns? Feel free to drop a comment below. I love hearing from you. Thanks for sticking around for the whole video. If you liked it, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. And remember, stay sharp, keep learning, and keep finding those winners.